starting to get a really cool sort of metallic sound from this, even more so than what we had before. I'm going to set the blend on both of these oscillators to be a little bit more in favor of the mono voice. So we're just going to take the bend and push it back a bit because I don't want too much muddy stereo information. I think we could go for 55 on oscillator A, and we'll go to oscillator B. We could do 55 as well, just to make things nice and even. Let's also put the detune down a little bit for both of these oscillators, because when you have too much detune on your basses, things can just sound really gross and not very pleasant. I think we can go for about 0.27 or 26. Right about there. And let's do the same thing for oscillator A. We're actually pushing that a little bit forward, not pushing it back. But hey, it sounds good, and that's all that matters. One thing we can do to make this sound a little more clean is we can modulate the level of oscillator A so it goes up and down with the LFO. Let's set the level of oscillator A to be all the way down at 0%, then we'll throw on LFO 1. And it's probably going to be pretty loud, so I'm going to set my modulation down and then progressively turn it up. You can hear that sounds a lot better because we're not getting all of the sound at once. We're giving the sound a little bit of space to breathe. And I think we could leave it at about 70, right here. The next thing I'd like to do is change up these LFO shapes a little bit because the default patterns just aren't very interesting. Let's go over to LFO 1 and we'll make a few changes. The first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to click on these little curves right here. I'm just going to boost them up a little bit to make it a little more wide. Let's actually put this second one down a bit. So we've got a bigger hump going up, and then we've got a more narrow one going down. Sounds pretty cool to me. I'm also going to set the mode to be trigger, so this LFO pattern replays every time we press a note. And I'm just going to leave the rate on 1/4 for now. We're not going to be doing any crazy modulations in this tutorial. Now we're going to go over to LFO 2. And we're not going to make a whole lot of changes here because LFO 2 is only here just to spice things up a little bit more. I like having a couple different LFO patterns on my basses, doing slightly different things at different rates so the bass doesn't sound too stagnant. All we're going to do here is we're going to set the mode to be trigger for LFO 2, and we're going to turn the rate down a bit to 1 second. And there we go. Now we've got our LFO pattern set up. Now I'm going to go over to the filter. We're going to set this to be an HN12 from the multi-category, and we don't need to send oscillator B into the filter because it's already being fed through oscillator A. Now I'm going to take LFO 1, we'll drag that onto the cutoff, and let's play with the position of the cutoff knob as well as the modulation to see if we can get a nice sound. You can hear that right now it's taking out way too many sounds and it's leaving it really thin. So let's just put that down. And I think I found a good place for it. At about 47 or 48 hertz. Right here. Let's also scale back that modulation. We'll go for about 48. I'm also going to increase the resonance so we can hear the filter a little bit more. The filter really does a great job shaping this sound. It's one of the parts of this sound that really works. So we can have the resonance be pretty high.